two youth poets tonight that will be reading from, they're one of the finalists for the Austin Youth Poet Laureate, and we just really wanted to celebrate them because we feel that that's really important. I'd like to begin by thanking a few people that without their help and passion for the arts, this event would not be possible whatsoever. The first one being Tim Staley, right there. Yeah. This is Austin Public Library Foundation's Executive Director. Mariela Cifuentes, here he is, the Program Coordinator for Austin Library Foundation. Diamond Braxton, the founder and director of the Boat Press, who is running Ella's book. And of course, Alienated Majesty for all the amazing things that they do for the literary community. You all, thank you so much for hosting this event. But yeah, I should also mention who I am. You're like, who is this person on the mic? So I'm Bianca Elisa Perez. I have been working with Austin Youth Poet Laureate since its inauguration. I was hired to be the mentor during the application sessions during the summer. And me and along with Daryl over here, we teach the summer workshops to youths that are interested in becoming Austin's Youth Poet Laureate for the year. So we've been doing this now for, I don't know, like 5 years, something like that? Something like that, it's crazy. And then when the program coordinator kind of stepped down and Mariela came into the scene, I was kind of put into this position to really be one-on-one with the Youth Poet Laureate, which in this case is Ella. And so I've been working with Ella since January, just working through her poetry, doing an honor to work with her, and you're such a bright person, it's insane. Like, you're very young, but yet you know. First off, we have Beatrix Lozak. Beatrix is a rising senior at McCullum High School and one of 5 Austin Youth Poet Laureate finalists. She is the co-editor-in-chief of her school newspaper and a theater major who's acted in 8 productions with McCullum's Fine Arts Academy. She also enjoys running track, learning languages, and volunteering with Sunrise Homeless Navigation Center and Abri Lumiere. Please join me in welcoming Beatrix to the mic.
Hi guys! Okay, so my first poem is called Ode to Marigold, and you might think that on the surface this is about plants. There's something a little deeper there. Ode to Marigold. Can you measure paradise on a thimble? Does it fit inside a spice box? Does it make the earth gods tremble? Does it nestle you in calm? I think I grew it in my backyard, amid a patch of barren soil. What had passed was resurrected in sprightly petals, leafy coils. Can you measure spirit in a marigold? Does it perish with the breeze? Does it unfurl like confessions? Does it bring you to your knees? I glimpsed holiness in the silhouette of the lilies of the field. Some call it God or kismet, but either way, I knew it. Okay, so the next poem is called Romanticism, and this is about how I use poetry as a form of escape. I think all of us sometimes use words to escape the current moment, whether that be your frantic notes app writing at like 2 in the morning or longer form stories. I fear the false god of the eternal elsewhere. White picket fences that shield patricians and ivory towers, the greener grass in hues of peacock and emerald, pearlescent sheens of charmed lives crush the weight of me with gilded brilliance. I write beneath chipped paint that spells out Sappho's fragments. I write beneath cracks in walls like medieval tapestries, crude in their elegance. I write beneath light bulbs that needed replacing months ago, cascading to earth with titanic momentum, splintering into shards along with my dignity. Though I fear the lotus fruit of escapism, still I tear at its pliant flesh. I dream of Serengeti sojourns, bearing witness to a leopardess with warlike beauty. I taste ruby lips of true loves lost, mired in fragrance of honeysuckle in bloom, sprinkled with notes of lilies of the valley. My arms are speckled with the solar kiss of leisure, here in hands that have never held fine china. My opulence is irrefutable. Okay, the next poem is called Portrait, Dakar 1940. For context, this is about my great-grandfather serving in World War II, and it's an anti-war poem. It's about how war lingers with you, how it sits in your bloodline, and it just doesn't go away. Cadences of Atlantic breezes lull a young man to slumber. His wedding band is golden like his true love's hair. When it hits the sunlight, he craves her. Faint echoes of lavender clinging to silk handkerchiefs, La Vienne Rose warbled in her dulcet soprano. Yet for love of his countrymen, he remains, sinking in the ship that promised valor. 30 years later, coveted metals tarnish in dimly lit basements, cluttered with the toys of his grandson. He chuckles at G.I. Joe, the brittle plastic, all too prone to melting in Astoria, Queens. Yet something in the heavy-set shoulders is too familiar. That grandson is too old to be drafted now, too old to forget the choking smoke of 9/11, the fictitious nukes and late-night TV binges of a war he praised. After all, didn't we have a right to defend the America of his grandfather's dreams? But my father's tattoo of the lives lost that day now reminds him of the lives lost in Kiev and Gaza, in detention centers and rural hospitals too, a sordid symbol of power unchecked. This last poem is a bit of a palate cleanser, I hope. I know that was a little heavy, so if you need a minute, it's okay. We good? Okay. It's called Adonis. You sweeten like mountain berries in the dead of winter. Nectar could not compare with you, beloved. Sugar leaves a bitter aftertaste, but I meditate on the glory of you for eons afterward. A doomsday prophet has no greater messiah than a young girl in love. If I were Pharaoh, I would bury you with me, like they buried honey, the philosopher's gold, to savor the elixir of immortality in your voice. You are like the night-blooming jasmine, ill at ease with the vulnerability of daylight, yet a sight to behold once dusk descends. And I will keep beholding. I will always keep beholding. You are the reason there will always be poets. For as long as there is beauty to rival Adonis himself, someone must chronicle it. The ink of lovers dries, but it does not dissipate. It flows into the cavities of your soul, stains glistening palms with the ecstasy of adoration. It runs in rivulets down my cheeks and makes a potent brew when I swallow the truth of your apathy.
And I also would like to add in here that with the youth poets tonight, a lot, if not all of the poems that they will be reading tonight were produced during our workshops that we've been doing since January, twice a month. And so that's really nice to also see that they have a lot to say. We can be listening to that tonight. Next poet on the mic, Allie Clark is a junior at Classical Conversation Cedar Park. She is an avid writer and reader of novels, plays, and poetry. She is a 2024-2025 Austin Youth Poet Laureate finalist. She runs a nonprofit theater program for students in Austin and is currently rehearsing for their 5th and 6th show. In the future, she plans to study business and open her own bookstore. Come on up.
I'm going to adjust this a little bit. We have a lot to say, but we don't have a lot in height. I think I'll let this first poem speak for itself. The Axes in the Redwood. Redwood trees are so happy to complain. Their roots are deep, they will not sway. They shadow maple saplings under their canopy. They flaunt their size and color in vanity. They don't care when there's a drought. They have been set up to never be without. Perfect soil and sun to soak in their leaves. They've soaked so much that there may not be future trees. They believe they are better because they've had time, but no maple sprout gets to choose when they get to climb. Conifers won't make the great axe haft, but maples are perfect for the craft. Forests must be clear to make room for new growth. It's ironic who has the need and means both. I think the Lorax would agree, for I am not speaking of evergreens. This next poem, I think a lot of poets will relate with when things start to happen in your life and you get that itch that just starts to happen and you're like, I must write. But you realize if you write, you'll delve into emotions that you're not quite ready to face. Yet I do. My pen trembles in my hand, itching to make itself heard. My guitar hums out its feelings, yet I silence every word. My piano gathers dust, my notebook lies bare. I dare not listen to certain music, for I fear what I'll find there. I blur my thoughts with games of chance, yet it reminds me there is still a shot. I turn to games of strategy, yet I drift into different and dangerous plot. I run from the rhythm, I hide from the rhyme. I cry alone, for this is not the time. I cannot have it, yet I might. I cannot think it, yet I will. I cannot write it, yet I have. I cannot want it, yet I do. And I think this is another one that my poets will relate to. Obstacle. I've always pulled at my stitches, so I'm never quite healed. I start each day screaming as the night paints my fears. I jump headfirst into sinkholes to feel some control. I dance with demons for free, so my soul is worth nothing to be sold. I roar at the hillside and hide from the echo. I am the greatest obstacle that I can't seem to forgo. The cemetery. The ice cracks under my shoes, the wind sweeps through my veins, 100 past lives laid out in plots, my name etched in every grave. I hear their haunting calling. I make each step to mark this place that I cannot bring myself to hate, but that shall never again see my face. The watchers cry out every crime of the deceased. What shriekers do not understand is that they were all once me. Soon they will lay me down once more, but I shall not stay. Will continue to walk on the ice that never quite gives way. I shall shrug off every misstep. I shall bury each mistake. I shall never look behind me. I shall dance at my own wake. They will judge the ones that sleep. Versions of me they hid away. They will not recognize me, for I am not the same. I cannot come back to the cemetery. I must keep marching on. If I continue to mourn myself, I will be dust by dawn. Runaway train, another that I think that we've all experienced, really everyone in this room, at least once in your adolescence. Raindrops race down my window, my chosen champion leading the charge. Sweaty palms grip rough worn fabric, toes tapping out an anxious march. A rhythmic rumble fills the coach, and a sudden surge starts my heart. Tingles creep along my spine.
Have I really made it this far? We roll down the tracks and nothing can stop us. I am the conductor of my destiny. My ticket only goes one way. Nothing was left at that station for me. I have a destination set, but this train's my liberation. How could I not take her flight and abandon hesitation? The appeal of my new life only comes second to leaving my last. I refuse to any longer be a slave to who I was in the past. Mountains and rivers overcome my senses. A whisper tells me I'll be fine. My future welcomes me with open arms. At last, peace will be mine. My final poem for today is well named The Final Bloom. Will you know it's the last spring that the tree will bloom when it happens? Or will you not know until the next summer when you realize its absence? What if the tree would have bloomed in spring, but that winter it gets struck down? Would you be prepared for its absence of its blooms now? Do you expect when candy suddenly tastes too sweet? Are you prepared for when your wish list is only 2 lines deep? Are you ready when your baby sister isn't a baby anymore? How will you face it when every breath propels you to the undefined shore? Will you know when you've reached your last tomorrow? If you did, would you walk the bridge? Or would you be too afraid to go? Thank you.
At least it wasn't 15, right? I was kind of right. Alright, now some people are doing some final purchases. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Getting the final snackies. HEB, honored to have Zell Miller III here. Thank you so much for being here. Zell Miller III is an award-winning interdisciplinary theater artist and performance poet. He was inducted into the Austin Arts Hall of Fame. In 2017, he is also an award-winning educator for 20 plus years, and his first book of poetry will be out fall of 2025. Working title is Austin Heretic Chronicles. His greatest accomplishment is being the partner to Ashley Miller and the father of Zell the Fourth, and so I was like, and Marley Miller, and of course, he is Austin's inaugural Poet Laureate. Give it up for Zell.
Congratulations on your book. Congratulations on being the Youth Laureate. I be a boy, but banging blues. Said I be a boy, but banging blues. I be boy. Be man with responsibilities that hang around our necks. Check the checks. Bread, be a beacon for homing pigeons, sounding like bill collectors, collecting collateral, coagulating, causing cataclysmic collisions. See, we, us, I, me, them, we be a b-boy. We be a can of instant gratification, and we shake it until that little ball on the inside rides the rhythm of my thoughts. And the city be a colorless existence, see, and I bring life to walls that otherwise remain nameless. See, I scribble, scribe some to make you, the viewer, go, oh, shh. And I bomb instantly. I cut night like liquid lightning, like night visions. I'm needing nothing more than a blank canvas and a sketch pad. Books be a broken beginning. You can't learn this from printed material. I'm a cockducker, a CD code breaker, a non-conformist follower. See, I be a B boy, banging blues. I be a Huey Newton resistance, remove referendums, risking retaliation. I'm trying to be more than a knight would assume. I'm trying to produce the risk of freedom songs, sing songs, spin spun, anew, and b-boys be bouncing between boulevards, booming, born beats by dawn's early light, eliminating illustrious ills, and my people be. My near-nothings know that nothing moves like the weight of a displaced soul, and we hover through survival, it be an only option, and people be like, what you gonna be, boy? And I tell them, oh, I'm gonna be more. I'm gonna be something other than. I'm gonna be standing strong. I'm gonna be straddling stereotypes. I'm gonna be stringing together torn todays to make beautiful tonights. And I be a boy. A banging blues. I be a bee. I be a I be a I be a I be it was boom.
Hey.
Boom. Boom. Thank you very much. Do one more to make space for the queen tonight. Make the night hot bright with these sync, I sit decibels. Rider of the thunder, I make the earth quake like I'm Hannibal. Equalization in the balance of my mother's eyes. When I submit to wisdom, I give space for the sun to rise. And I'm skipping amethyst rocks across the surface of the sun. I tore my oxygen crops in the light side of Mars. I watched them Saturnites close, cause it sent the earth to be a rock star. I lace instrumented sounds with subliminal freedom, and I vacation on Pluto with solstice. Anticipate parabolic curves in unison. I am the what was before. Before Solomon translated my songs, I used to whistle to him. Before he touched the earth's ground, bound by rosary beads of Jupiter's sacred stones, we moan in unison to the rotation of the third sun. I keep my time ship idle, and I slip between matter because of my gray matter. I shift shape to hollow drums, a piece of my soul that stirs every time we come. And I'm looking to reshape these dead trees. I give them new life with new inscriptions and numerology and new dimension, and we sanctify the blessings of deep breath. I taught the wind how to race. Running while in stationary position, I bring on these to the temple of drink so they can be poisoned. See, I taught the wind how to race. I said running water in stationary position, I'm waiting on thieves of the temple to drink so they can be poisoned. See, overcoming death, it's easy when you understand what you are living for. I, moon trace, amongst your face, retrieve my identity. In the soft place of your smile, I find divinity. And the passion, it comes in threes. And I'm the pleasure principle to these moments. Ashley, when your quiet stare, it says a novel to me. And I am on again. And I am on again. And I am witness to the night, cousin to the silence, sister to the sun. We be the penetration of the drum. And the conversations, they're happening over fizzling cocoa beans. Me and saggy jeans and questions. You in comfortable fabric and perfection. And stroking the inside of your hand. I have no choice but to say, one man. And the morning stirs in your eyes is the sunrise. Vampire I be because we sleep in noisy times. See, warriors can only be conquered by truth. And withheld in your kiss, Ashley, is the correctness of God. And it is there that allows me to rest easy to you. Thank you very much.
We'll be taking audience questions. So be thinking, right, as she's reading, be thinking about some questions because you know she's got the answers, okay? Because I don't want her to just be up here and nobody's asking questions because I know we all have questions. Okay. Ella Yuna Kim, a senior at St. Stephen's Episcopal School, is the 2024-2025 Austin Youth Poet Laureate and the author of her debut poetry chapbook, Vanities, from Abode Press. At St. Stephen's, Ella has been editor and graphic designer for The Bell, the school's newspaper, and involved in theater, acting in numerous plays and musicals. She recently won first prize in Princeton University's Lewis Center of the Arts 10-minute play contest. She will be attending Yale in the fall. Welcome up, Ella.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I first want to give a huge shout out to everyone else who read today. Amazing poetry. And another big thank you to Abode Press for making this possible. And to Monica for being such a wonderful mentor throughout this whole process. I couldn't have done this without you, so I'm really grateful for you. Okay, I have some poems for y'all. This first one, and some of them I've read before, but this first one is one I kind of usually read first as kind of an introduction to myself. So this one is called Yuna. My middle name means one corked brow, two mispronunciations. My grandfather standing in a hospital room, breathing promise into my still closed eyes, my miniature lungs. Do you ever wonder why a baby's fists are balled so tightly? Large hand encircling the back of my head. He chose it, you know, my middle name, in the Korean tradition. In an alternate universe, I water my plants. In this universe, whenever I like something I've written, I read one-star reviews of my favorite books. I like the way it sounds, but dislike the way it's spelled, the way it sits, a counterweight toward the end of my monogram. I have this necklace, gold, with my initials carved into it. Do you ever wonder how dogs feel about wearing leashes? Which I rarely remove. People lean in and squint and ask what the Y stands for. I can tell them how those 4 letters sound together, but I can never tell them what it means. This one is called Carpet Study. Hermes Carpet was a pirate ship, and I its steadfast captain. My sister was first mate, and my mother was the villain. Beige and nubbly and fraying at the edges, it galloped over stair ledges, cascaded through the entryway. We saw a soft square grid and raised you a wooden deck, a ballroom floor, a forest at dawn. We opened our eyes and burned out our ears. When the door shh open, the hot upland air teased us back to life. The peeled apples in our gaping mouths softened into brain matter, fused into our ribs, made us liars and family traitors and dutiful grandchildren, became the flavor of our youth. This is Vanities. This mirror sings of a neck unmarred by agony, wrinkle-free and endless in a reckless lack of light, a column or a beacon or a warning, a screaming and an ugly laugh. Do you know the sting of fingernails, scalp and roots and martyrs? Do you remember how your ribs once flowered open? Or, in other words, the threat of a steady breath? When the fight is over, I forget what to do with my hands. I forget until I remember poetry. When people talk to me, I feel they stand too near my face. They suffer my breaths and my skin. They are witnesses too intimate and kind. When I am dead, I do not remember the malice in my fingertips, their writer's urge to edit what they touch. Instead, I hear my sister's laugh. People say it sounds like mine. This dismays me in a way I cannot describe other than to say that I want to break all of her mirrors. It is fascination, I think, dangerous and sincere, ripe and white hot. If one day I grow up, I will have something to show for it. I am 6 and newly afraid of a woman. I have made my mother stand beside me in the bathroom. I am distracted by my eyes, a search for my pupils. A stool, rubbery, foldable, beneath bare feet. A woman at my shoulder and another one behind. I marvel at the absence of myself. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. My mother and the mirror and me. This next one is called Heterotopia, and it was written as part of Texas Poet Laureate Amanda Johnston's Praise Song for the People project, which is this really great project where she gets poets from all over Texas to contribute to this anthology of praise song poems to Texan things. And it's free online, all the poems are there if you want to check it out, but it's really great. And I wrote this poem for that. Heterotopia. At H Mart, get a haircut and dumplings. Kalbi dok for the new year. Take a break where they know you and explain yourself later. Hear your children play on astroturf while you close your eyes and breathe. Browse for rice, that ritual heft of sack into shopping cart. You might as well be bowing, body and blood of your body and blood, our bloody bodies and American dreams. and at checkout hope the ladies recognize you, or at least something in your eyes. Because, oh God, you've missed it. Pride. You want to promise them you're trying hard enough. We knew shame long before we learned the word. We were born crouched beneath the N, between the hollow O's of honor. We hummed promises across the ocean, but slept with the fan on. Now we watch the live lobsters in their tank and startle at our reflections. Why are you here, I want to ask the grandmothers. Why are you here in a yellow vest and KN95, even now, and why can't I speak to you? Where can I go because of you? Where besides here? You look like every woman I have ever known and smell of Sunday nights. You are a model minority, but in aisle 12 you are somebody's daughter. In aisle 12 you are barely an expert and everything is in your bones. You are what you eat, so eat Korean food. At the food court with the metal chairs and metal trays, and honor my grandmother who collects metal teaspoons from all over the world. No one cooks like Harmony. On Tuesdays, the H-Mart food tastes vaguely metallic. No one cooks like she does, loyal to her mother's vague recipes, flesh memories. But we try, we try, we try. We emerge from H-Mart and blink in the Texas sun and wrestle 2 full shopping carts home. This is Toys. When I have poetry due, how silly is that, poetry due, I try to look at the stars. I pretend I have drawn them up in crayon. I pretend they are fighting for my life. This is against my will. I want you to tell me I am wonderful. I want to push and pull you like my mother would. I want you to gasp, wow, you are a miracle. I bleed consolation. I cut off my grandmother's nose in the mirror, all the better to smell you with, and become a marionette, an easy bake oven. I am a consolation prize. How do you say, I am so unsightly in Korean? How do you say, I am too beautiful to love? I want all new words, something different to push between my teeth, sounds to root and rot and flourish. I want European ease and Southern hospitality. I need 2 lobotomies and a butterfly bandage. When they carve me open, they'll be horrified, and I'll be cheap and free. This one is called Nostos. The words reach out their clever claws to pull me under, beneath the surface, pulsing, simmering, sinister. And God, I've forgotten what a burden it is to have your trembling nerves, your tattered heart urging you not to write, stop, save yourself, but your hands refusing to obey. Maybe it isn't that I don't have the words to say what I need to say, but that the words aren't enough. Because after that first frenzied outpouring, I sit back, I take in what I've written, or rather, what I haven't, the bitter truth that life taunts me still, high above the reaches of my ink-woven lasso. I slam the journal shut, push back my chair, condemn the task, but tomorrow the letters will bring me back, as they always do, breathtaking and friendly and seething with possibility. Hello, hello, come home. Okay, and my last one is a bit longer. It's called Girls. 1. We sat behind our mothers in booster seats, rolled down the windows, opened our mouths, and threw ourselves, our soft bellies, into the searing heat to let the sand swallow us whole. The waves rolled in and over our bare faces, blessing us, until we remembered being born. We shoved slices of sticky sweet watermelon into our mouths, weightless as it was and wary only of its seeds. We gorged and puffed out our barely there chests and fed ourselves the sun. 2. We scrawled stories into wide-ruled journals, scrambled home to show our mothers, climbed over one another to make it known that we were wordsmiths. Wide-eyed, we let them knight us poets. We begged them to christen us beloved. Our pens were our undoing, like fingers, like mouths, like umbilical cords and scars, like maps to our houses, like sidewalk chalk and Christmas fires, like California mornings. 3. We asked for dolls, glassy-eyed girls to love, to hit, whose limbs we might manipulate into beautiful poses, dolls to mother, dolls to heal with princess band-aids to heal ourselves. We played kitchen, we played fairies, we were monsters, and we were angels. So full of righteousness, so far from right, we threw tantrums and told ourselves nothing but the truth. 4. We declared boldly our intentions. We wanted to sing or dance or go to the moon, to paint, to be in plays. Our bodies toppled forward in longing. Yes, please, we want. 5. We discovered lip gloss, discovered that our nails could be too long for playing, discovered that we wanted to be each other, or not ourselves. We learned to throw arms around one another, arms suddenly too thin, too heavy, too textured or pale, and feign camaraderie and see that ache for what we felt beneath our palms. We learned to rage at our mothers, to tear ourselves to shreds. We learned humility. 6. We are unafraid of the devil, but terrified of mirrors. At the beach, we chase the camera flash, the pulling and tucking of skin. The salt water rubs us raw now instead of clean. We are too exposed. We pretend we are free. 7. We have forgotten words, the ones that mean I love you. We pinch ourselves beside the pyres, before we mount ourselves, before we take our final breaths, before we take our pictures. 8. We are brave when we scrape our knees, but shaky when we speak, gravel-voiced yet infantile, frightened of declarations and incapable of follow-through. We scream and whirl around our rooms. We are martyrs, we are sinners. We pray selfishly, hear selectively, whisper cruelly. We hold our grandmother's hands too lightly so that they do not break, but also so that we cannot say we're touching. We kiss our mothers on the cheek and push them off of cliffs. 9. We fly in planes alone. We walk the streets of cities. We talk to strangers. We miss home. We cannot leave home quickly enough. We are migrating geese and flightless birds. We cross our fingers to make promises and shed our skin like snakes and crawl big and ugly onto the dance floor and break our necks looking at one another and pinch our sisters' ears and pull up skirts and tug down shirts and suck on sour candy and boast and ride the train and paint our faces and flaunt our youth and lay claim to songs and stars and works of art and punch our sisters in the gut and break our mothers' backs and necks and hearts and laugh and bleed and 10. We jolt awake at night, white sheets twisted around sturdy ankles, clawing at our clothes, hearts pounding. We think, my God, I used to write stories. Thank you so much.
Yes. How do you find inspiration when you're stuck?
That's a really good question. I feel like I get stuck kind of too much. But what I like to do is take a break and kind of see people. I spend a lot of time in my room, but I find that I'm most inspired to write when I leave it and interact with people that I love and things that I love, because that's when I really want to write. So I try to take a break and then come back. Yes.
What is your favorite poem?
My favorite poem. I like this poem by Emily Dickinson, and "'Tis not that dying hurts us so." I really, really like the imagery and the language in that poem.
I meant, what was your poem?
Oh, the one that I wrote. Maybe I think the last one that I read, which is also the last one in this book, and also the last one that I wrote for this book, is my favorite so far. But I find that my favorite is usually whatever I've just written. Yeah. Yes.
How do you find your own voice in your work?
That's a good question. I think I'm still working on finding it. But a lot of my poetry, if I'm trying to write down my thoughts as I think them, they end up sounding like myself, regardless of what they are. And then it's just a matter of cutting out words and rearranging certain parts so that the message is clearer, but I think they're all in my voice when they're coming out of my brain, if that makes sense. Yes?
About specifically the poet laureate occupation, what do you think was your favorite memory?
Ooh, that's really good. I think, honestly, that first reading that we all did together, where I got to meet the finalists and kind of realize what it was like to read in front of people. Until then, I hadn't really had much experience doing that, although I've done theater and it's not that different. But I think that sense of learning that I was kind of getting to be part of not only like a cool program, but also community of other young writers, which was really cool.
Thanks. Can you talk about like the process of putting like which poems next to each other, like the organization of the book and your thought process behind it?
Oh yeah. So I think the overall theme of my book is like kind of growing up, especially as a teenage girl and someone who's part of different cultures and kind of lives in both of those spaces. And I think when I was thinking about what order I wanted my poems to be in, I worked with Bianca a lot on that. I knew I wanted Girls, the last poem, to be last, because I think it kind of encapsulates a lot of what the chapbook is talking about. And I knew I wanted which is the one about my name, to be first, because like I said, that's kind of an introduction to myself. And then from there, I kind of tried to break up the poems based on their themes. So I have a lot of cultural ones, and then I have a lot of like self-identity, girlhood ones that I kind of alternated to try to give readers a more full experience of the overall idea of the book.
Sorry, this is another question, but it's kind of oddly specific. You were ruminating on like what it's like to be growing up as a teenage girl and feeling between cultures. Do you think that there's magic in liminal spaces?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. I think that's one of the things I maybe tried to explore in Heterotopia, which was a poem about H-Mart. I find that that's kind of a liminal space to me, and I definitely think there's magic in it. I think that's where, you can't exactly take comfort in your surroundings because they're a little ambiguous, a little murky, and so you really learn more about yourself. So yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So what do you feel like is, I don't know, like a movie or even like a feeling or something that you find poetic but has nothing to do with poetry? Does that make sense?
Yes. I actually have an answer off the top of my head, which is
Okay.
rare for me. But Lady Bird by Greta Gerwig is my favorite movie, and I feel like it explores a lot of the similar themes I was getting at or trying to get out in my chapbook and in my poems. And it's this beautiful story about a mom and her daughter, and she is also in the exact same position as I am. She's leaving for college, so it takes us through her senior year of high school and into her leaving. And I think that it's such a beautiful story. And yeah, every time I watch that movie, which is a lot, I get inspired to write poetry. I feel like it's very poetic.
And one last thing. Yeah.
How did you start writing poetry?
Ooh, I was actually never much of a poet, or I never really considered myself much of a poet, but my mom has always been a huge writer. She was an English major, and she is the one who got me into writing in the first place, and really urged me to kind of take that step into poetry. And so I first started writing poetry, honestly, like maybe a year or two ago, like first seriously, besides like acrostics in middle school. But I really owe a lot of like my poetry and my writing style to my mom, because she's the one who encouraged me to start writing poetry and to explore it as a form of writing, and I really, really love it. And I'm definitely going to do more of it, and I'm super glad that I started writing poetry.
copies of Vanities by the at the table over there. They are free for the community, and Ella will be signing these books. Okay, very important. And of course, there's some snacks left and all that great stuff. But another round of applause for the poets for today. And also, I just want to give a shout out to the families that are here today. I know that y'all are like in this area and also over here. So, I mean, I think that the youths are here because of y'all, right? I mean, like physically here, but also like, but I mean, the reason why they're so great at what they do is probably because you inspire them to be that way. So I know that that's how I feel about my family, so I know that's how they probably feel